and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about all of the anticipated releases that I have for 2026. So I'm filming this in late November, so the release date of these books might change by the time they actually come out, but this is also not an exhaustive list. These are all the ones that are already on my radar. So it does include different genres and age categories, specifically focusing on romance and horror, which are two of my biggest read genres. And I believe there's only one YA book on this list. But let's go through and talk about all the books on my radar. And also, I do have my little list of notes over here to the side. So if you ever see me looking over here, that is why. But let's go ahead and start off with January. So first we have Through the Gates of Garnet and Gold by Seanan McGuire. This is book 11 in the Wayward Children series. It is one of my favorite YA novella series, and if you haven't read it already, I would definitely recommend picking it up and giving it a try because they are just such great books. So this one is book 11 in the series, and it is following Nancy, who is a character we have met previously in the series, but we are following her as she tries and saves the Halls of the Dead, which is her world that she lives in. Next we have Half His Age by Jennette McCurdy, and I absolutely loved her memoir that she came out with, but this one is her adult fiction debut, and I'm really excited for it. I don't know too much about it, and I don't really want to read the synopsis of it. Also, let me just throw in another disclaimer while we're on the topic. I try not to read synopsises or read too much about what a book is about, just because I personally like going into them blind. So just know that when we go through this list, I probably won't be giving the most in-depth details about what each book is about. Moving on to February. So we have The Body by Bethany Morrow, who is an author I have not yet read anything by, but I have seen her books around before. And this one is a supernatural horror. And I believe this one is following a woman who must survive these very bizarre attacks against her marriage. And that just seems very intriguing to me. Next we have The Bride Bet by Tessa. This one is a historical romance following these two enemies who make this deal that if neither of them are married in 10 years, then they would marry each other. And it has been 10 years and the Duke has come to collect on this bet. And that just sounds like so much fun. I definitely need to read more historical romances because I usually tend to enjoy them. The next book is Cruelty Free, which is another horror book, and this one is following a disgraced Hollywood actor as she returns to Hollywood 10 years after the kidnapping of her daughter, and she is going back to seek revenge. And the next one just seems so fun to me. It's Tradwife, which is following this Tradwife influencer who really wants to have a kid, and I believe her husband isn't ready for a kid or doesn't want to have one or something along those lines, and so she ends up making a deal with a demon to impregnate her so that she can have a baby and become more of a Tradwife influencer. And then moving on to March, we have Wolfworm by Kingfisher. I absolutely adore Kingfisher's horror book, so I'm really excited for this one. This one is more of a historical horror following this scientific illustrator who goes to work for this doctor, and I assume something creepy ends up happening. Our Monstrous Bodies is a more literary horror book, and this one is following this woman who goes to take care of her sister after she has some surgery, and there is someone stalking the halls of the apartment building, and I believe this one has a lot to do with bodily autonomy, so I'm very intrigued by this one. Wretch by LaRocca is one that I'm also very excited for since I really enjoy LaRocca's writing style and his weird wacky ideas, but this one is a queer horror following this man who goes to a support group after his husband ends up dying, and the support group's just not what you think it is. Nothing Tastes as Good is this thriller about this weight loss treatment that has some potentially murderous side effects. Moving on to April. Wife-Shaped Bodies is one following this newlywed couple, and the wife is covered in these mushroom growths, which I guess is normal for this community, but she is deciding between following her husband or pursuing this new woman, and it is a literary horror book, and it just sounds very intriguing. Next is Molka by Monika Kim. This is an author who I have read from before. This one is very focused on Korea's sort of surveillance culture and problem that they have going on right now of men spying on women by these spy cameras that they don't know are there. And so that's what this book is focused on, is this woman who gets spied on and becomes this guy's perverted obsession, and so she ends up wanting to seek revenge. I only have one book for May, and that is Fever Dream by Elsie Silver. I have fallen in love with Elsie Silver this year, and this is her newest book and also the start to a new series, but it is a small town rivals to lovers romance. In June, we have Headlights by CJ Leede. This is another author who I've read from before and absolutely loved. I absolutely loved Mayfly. That's one of my all-time favorite horror books. And so this is their newest horror, and it is following an FBI agent who is tracking down a serial killer. You Won't Forget Me by Mazey Eddings, again, another favorite author of mine. This is a sapphic friends to lovers romance, and I believe there is a road trip aspect to it. Dead But Dreaming of Electric Sheep by Paul Tremblay is another sort of horror book, and this one is following a professional gamer, and she's offered this job to chaperone this guy who has AI implemented in his brain across the country. In July, we have The Case of Elmwood Ranch. This one is a sapphic romance, and I believe one of the characters is a paranormal investigator, and she's like in town to check out this haunted house. And then also volume 6 of Heartstopper comes out. This is one of my all-time favorite YA graphic novels. It is a queer romance and it is just so cute. I absolutely love the series. All right, my camera cut out there, so hopefully the angle hasn't changed too much. In August, we have Meet Bees, and this one is a horror book that's pitched as Jaws, but with wasp, and I believe it has something to do with wasp eating people alive. And if you've been on my channel for a while, you will know that I love a good horror book that has to deal with bugs or parasites, and this one is very much giving me the Troop vibes, and that is one of my all-time favorite horror books, so I'm very excited for this one. In September, we have People Pleasing by Hannah Bonham Young. This is book 2 to People Watching, which I gave 5 stars. I absolutely adore that book, and it is one of my all-time favorite romance books now, so I cannot wait to see what else this author puts out in this series. Moving on to October, we have The Keeper by Anna Huang. This is book 3 in her sports romance series, which I absolutely love, and I cannot wait for this one to come out. And then R.F. Kuang also has a book releasing in 2026, although it does not have a release date yet, and the title of it is just High Paced Story so far. So there's no details about this book yet, but anything that R.F. Kuang writes, I will read. I absolutely adore her books, so I cannot wait for this one. But those are all 22 books that I had to talk to you guys about today. Let me know what books are coming out next year that you guys are anticipating, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Bye!